or tokenized, sorry, not synthetic. So as we move not just dollars onto the blockchain, which is stablecoins, but we'll move stocks and real estate, dollar dominance is going to be the opportunity of Ethereum. So digital gold is Bitcoin. And so in that world, we believe Ethereum could flip Bitcoin, similar to how Wall Street and equities flipped gold.
Sure, Carl. It's a really important trend. It's one of the mega trends. We identified a series of mega trends about a year ago, and we said we want to position our business, invest in those capabilities that will allow us to benefit from those mega trends. Because while we want to drive and are driving organic growth, we also want to make sure that we're attaching ourselves to these big market cycles, and digital assets is one of them. Now, that's not just stable coins, it's also tokenization, and it really is across the ecosystem. If you think about what we do, we provide financial market infrastructure capabilities to our customers. And so it's stablecoin firms. We've been leaning in, helping them. They need traditional services as well as the stablecoin services. We've been helping with tokenization. We just launched a partnership with a new on-chain money market fund. So we've been investing around the ecosystem for using our traditional assets and then evolving our traditional business assets to be able to be on-chain as well.
Right. Is regulation a drag on that, or are they keeping pace?
I would say it used to be a drag, but under the new administration, it's actually become a bit of a tailwind. The new administration has got a point of view around AI, around digital assets, around leaning in and enabling. And so being able to leverage that to be able to use a new technology. This is a new technology. The US should be a leader in new technologies, and we want to continue to be the rails of the global financial system. We want to be a standard setter as a country. And I think the new administration's seen that. The SEC, particularly under Chair Atkins, has been leaning into the topic.
Shutdown when we can't get 7 more Democratic senators across the line, but 85 U.S. senators are willing to give President Trump the authority to put up to 500% tariffs on China for the purchase of Russian oil.
I hope it ends soon. I don't think it will end before the Hate America rally on the mall on Saturday, where all the Marxists and Antifa people and all the people who hate Trump and hate America will be there. After that, though, I hope there's a couple of sensible Democrats who will come to their senses over in the Senate and vote the right way to do the right thing that they have always done every time in the past in their career. They need to do it now for the people, for the American people.
There are plenty of questions about the Chinese economy. How would you assess the Chinese economy today?
Well, their youth unemployment is quite high. It's over 20%.
Wow.
For growth, they've outlasted the possibility of having real estate growth or infrastructure growth, so they're really focused on just exporting, and they have enormous amounts of overcapacity in manufacturing. They can't flood the U.S. market anymore because President Trump has put tariffs in place, and so they're starting to find other markets to push their things. So their economy has some structural challenges.
The question is about Brazil, the 50% tariffs on Brazil. Can you explain why they are being hit with 50% tariffs and why it falls under the umbrella of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act?
Certainly. Happy to do that. Now, to be really specific about Brazil, there's actually 2 regimes at place right here. There's the reciprocal tariff rate of 10% on Brazil, which everyone in the world has, which we're trying to do to control the global trade deficit. It's a huge problem for us. Then on top of that, there's a 40% tariff on Brazil, and that's under a separate emergency, and this is related to extreme concerns with rule of law, censorship, and human rights in Brazil, where a Brazilian judge has taken it upon himself to order U.S. companies to censor themselves, given them secret orders to manage the flow of information, rule of law with respect to political opponents in Brazil. And so when
the unlawful detention of U.S. citizens who were in Brazil.
Correct. Now, the Treasury Department has often used IEPA, which is the shorthand for the law you're talking about, to impose sanctions, which will cut off countries or companies or persons entirely from the U.S. financial system and cut off trade entirely. If the president can cut off trade entirely, he can certainly impose a tariff, which is a lesser measure than a full sanction.
And now the domination like BRICS. I told anybody wants to be in BRICS, that's fine, but we're going to put tariffs on your nation.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And I come back with that video just to make you think. And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. Also, go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. And we have Tom Lee says that Ethereum can flip Bitcoin due to stable coins and the whole economy being tokenized. And we don't have to predict. All we have to do is watch the big banks and the Fed. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. But we do know Ethereum is going to be a big piece of this fourth industrial revolution. All you have to do is look at the ecosystem. And we know DeFi is definitely the new banking. Now we had BNY on stable coins and tokenization. And of course, they were one of the first ones to come out and say how important this industry is. But we know the big banks and big corporations were funding crypto from the beginning, just behind the curtain. And now they're coming out on the stage. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Now we have Scott Bessent and Speaker Johnson on the shutdown. And don't forget, guys, that this weekend, they're doing it again. No King protests. The first one didn't get a lot of traction, but the government stays down. This one will definitely get a lot of attention. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have the government speaking on China's economy. While we clearly see the U.S. economy is crumbling, but remember, that's a part of the plan. They want to destroy this legacy market so the machines can rise. And now they're coming out telling you what the agenda is. It's absolutely out of this world. You can't make this up. And Trump is definitely targeting the BRICS with these tariffs. Remember, guys, the rise of the BRICS, the emerging markets led by China, and the fall of America to Babylon with the United States world reserve currency. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have ChatGPT involved in adult content. And I went over this a couple times, but guys, it's nothing but a gateway inside the Metaverse. The only thing they're doing now is laying down the foundation. These robots, algorithms, chatbots are going to be your new friend. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have the SEC steps in with a 20-day approval process with these IPOs doing shutdown. And guys, we know the only thing they're doing is cutting the red tape. But we also know that's not going to end well. There's regulations in place for a reason. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have Nestle cut 16,000 jobs. Yes, you heard that correct. They just keep coming. And of course, guys, this is a global agenda. Take humanity out the workforce and bring in the machines, increase productivity, and hand the people out free money. But little do the people know that money is going to be programmable, telling you what, when, and how to buy. You have 3 to 6 months to spend it or poof, it's gone. And because all these purchases are on blockchain, they'll know you better than you know yourself. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have Fed members coming out saying they expect a rate cut at the end of this month. And like I told you, this depends on how long this government shutdown is. If the government shutdown is close to them actually meeting, I don't see it happening. Even though we know the Fed gets all the numbers anyway. But of course, this will be a great excuse for them not making a move based on clarity. But we can clearly see the labor market is crumbling, and then also the financial market is crumbling. And a 25 basis point cut is not going to help. Even though they may do it, it's still not going to make anything better. These rates have been up too high, too long, and they printed too much money. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
You basically say that, ChatGPT has engaged in erotica, right, with verified adult users, and that's actually, is it a way to make money, or is this a business model?
Oh, 100% it's a way to make money. Just as you were saying, they're probably going to have to resort to advertising to monetize these 800 million users they've got, because most of those people don't pay for ChatGPT. So it's not just the erotic content that's coming in December, it's also this new app called Sora, which is like TikTok. That's a perfect place to put ads. And OpenAI has hired executives who have real experience in creating ad businesses. So all the signs point to that being directionally where they're going to go. And the erotic content thing, which I think feels a little bit distasteful, but it's a very lucrative business. Chatbot companies that take that away, that put restrictions in, lose millions of users. We saw that with Replica, with Character AI. And I think what OpenAI is hoping is that if they add that, they're going to get more subscriptions and they'll just get many, many more users.
And again, the numbers, you were, in your piece that I think everyone should read, it says roughly 30% of prompts typed into some of these AI assistants are of a romantic or sexual nature.
It's that stat blew me away when I heard that, and that I heard that from a company who has been in this field. It's the longest sort of reigning chatbot company called Pandora Bots, based in San Francisco, and that's just what they've seen across the board from speaking to companies and investors and founders, that 30% of the inputs into these general purpose chatbots are sexual or romantic in nature. It's just some sort of base human instinct, I suppose you could say. But what I kind of find fascinating about all this is that we talk about the transformative effect of AI on business, how it's going to uplift civilization. But right now what we're seeing is this effort to kind of capitalize on these basest, these human instincts and make money from it.
Not even a government shutdown can put a stop to the IPO revival that we've been seeing in recent months. I'm hearing lots of continued excitement and a sense of relief from tech analysts and investors. It is a really robust pipeline that has not changed. That trend continues. But also a part of the optimism here is due to the fact that the SEC has changed its rules. So just last week, they announced that they are paving kind of a new path for companies in the pipeline, future companies, if the shutdown continues, where they can file or refile their IPO documents, and they can basically get automatic approval within 20 days, and they can still set their price range. This is something that was not possible before and is really the SEC's, the government's way of ensuring that there isn't a big dent in the IPO pipeline.
Going to happen? What's the cost of this? That sounds like an awful lot of job cuts to me. I know this is an enormous company, but nevertheless, 16,000 job cuts sounds like a big number.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's the talk of the town, right? Besides, like, the already strong...
Certainly the talk of Verve, I would imagine, this morning.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's for sure. They are just, like, they announced these 16,000 job cuts. They didn't announce, like, where exactly it will be. They didn't say which geography region, like, which field. What they said is, like, 12,000 of them will be white-collar jobs.
Okay. Is that an AI story? I don't know. But is that where... How easy are they to get rid of? Is this something that is going to cost the company a lot of money in the near term? That sounds like a fairly big transition.
It definitely is. It will come over the next 2 years, and they are actually expecting, like, cost savings. I think it was around 3 billion Swiss francs, which they announced to save till the end of 2027.
Further rate cuts after October. It's a subtle thing, but let's go through it. He says the Fed should reduce 25 basis points in October. No question about that. Beyond that, he says he needs to see how you reconcile this issue of strong GDP on the one hand and a soft labor market on the other hand. He said something has to give here, and that's going to determine what he does beyond October. The Fed should avoid rekindling inflationary pressure by moving too quickly. So a bit of caution there. Still concern about inflation by the influential Fed governor, who is one of the top candidates for replacing Chair Powell in the Fed chair position. He says if the labor market softens further and inflation remains in check, the Fed should think about cutting another 100 to 125 basis points down to neutral. That really affirms market pricing down the road of about a 300 or 3% Fed funds rate. Tariffs he expects to have a modest effect on inflation, and the Fed is on track, he says, towards the 2% goal. He's focused on the labor market and the weak payrolls now more than inflation. Talks about firms holding on to workers, not filling open positions, talks about AI, which you guys were talking about, and he's concerned about this no hire, no fire stance, which is very prevalent among companies these days, saying businesses may soon have to decide whether fewer employees are needed. So, Carl, I'll leave it there, but this issue of AI he talked about extensively yesterday says there could be job losses before there are job gains. Costs first, benefits later. Carl?
Going to a different economy. And we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box, provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it